Okay, this is going to be, not sure if this is going to be a two-parter or not, but at least part one of how to use Encompass, how it's going to relate to your role as a processor, and then I'm going to try to get into a little bit of restructuring as well. I picked a loan that is currently restructured due to front end and back end. It's at 49 58, I think, in UWM, which is good. This is at 40 and 47, means I have to match. So, first thing I do, and might be a little tough to see because I'll try to bring this over here so you can see. First place I look is front end. If front end doesn't match, I'm gonna immediately, my eyes go immediately to ERLA lender, this section right here. So forms 1003 ERLA lender. This is going to be familiar to most of you when you had the updated Encompass task after a loan closed. A lot of the information here that goes into what the mortgage payment itself is on this 1003 ERLA lender page. So first thing, appraised value, make sure that's accurate. Let's see, it is, okay, and then loan amount. Obviously, we're going off base, we changed base, but it's going to be easy for us to see here. This is total, that matches total up here, so not going to have to make any changes. However, if this was like a VC or an EPM file and it wasn't as easy to get that base loan amount, all you would have to do, if you're given total loan amount, all you would have to do, this is an FHA loan, so you take the total loan amount, 398, you're going to divide by the same thing that you would multiply the base by to get the total, you're going to divide that by the total to get the base. And so FHA is 1 and 3/4 of a point essentially, so 1.0175. Divide that, should take you to our base. And it's weird that it rounds up, but we're gonna go with this number if it's given to us. Encompass probably wouldn't even change. It might be off by $1, but all you're looking for is for this to match. And so it's already matching, we're good. So next, ratios are still wrong, so I know it's not the loan amount. It's going to have to be essentially one of 3 or 4 things. It's going to be taxes, insurance, rate, term, and then potentially your income could be off. So we're going to look. This is going to be kind of clunky because I have to keep this all on one screen. But we're going to go to 1003 housing expenses. I want to see what they're counting as the insurance, taxes, all that stuff. So proposed is going to be on the bottom. Sorry again, it's kind of weird because I'm squeezing it into a half a screen. But let's take a look. So, and actually, real quick, I'm going to check the rate as well, see if that matches. We're at a 7% here, 6.5. Okay, that's one thing I can fix right off the bat. 6.5, 6.5. And then another thing that I might as well just check while I'm here, I'm going to make sure that the term is correct. And so in order to do that, it won't always tell you on the side panel, like if you're at a 30-year but using a flex term, it'll always say 30 or whatever. Like sometimes pricing, like the MI product will tell you 15. It can get confusing. So what I would suggest doing, menu, change of circumstance, go check exactly what it's at for the flex term. It's at 30, so we're good there. 360 months, 30-year term. Don't need to change that. So I'm going to go back into 1003 housing expense and then compare our details of the mortgage payment. So, okay, monthly taxes 615.54, way off. Okay, we have 350 in Encompass, 615 in UWM, so I'm just gonna copy paste that and plug it in. Boom. Okay. Um, HOA dues of 50, they're at 85. Okay, so that's a positive. However, insurance is a little bit higher, so that's pretty much offset there. Update that, drop that to 50. Okay, front end still not matching, um, but payment is. And so if you ever notice that, where like, hey, I just matched payment perfectly, 44.29.13 in Encompass, 44.29.13 in UWM, ratios still not matching. I have 49.116 versus 41. That tells me almost immediately income is wrong. And so My next step would be employment and income, and I want to compare what are they giving us versus what did we submit it as. So if you can see this, this is a big amount here. Usually when that happens, we overinflated a lot. Possible that we, put in a second type of employment, and that they remove because of history, continuance, whatever the case is. My guess is we probably overinflated this, put like 11, 12K in it. But let's check that out. So 9,1765. Income is always in part two. Um, Part three is where you get into assets and liabilities. Part four is like property information. Part one, I think, is like personal information. Yeah, name, social security, all that stuff. You're going to work mostly out of part two, part three, and lender to income again. So let's see. Yeah, this is exactly what I expected. 10,700. They were giving them $9,017. So I am going to trust but verify. Obviously, when it comes to the restructuring part, I do want to come back in here to the income screen and make sure, like, hey, 10,700 versus 9,000. That's a pretty big discrepancy. That's 1,700 bucks from 9,000. That's 20% essentially. So I want to make sure after I get everything matched, that's when I'll go back in and make sure, hey, is the information that UWM has actually accurate? Does it actually tell the full picture? Does income, can we squeeze more out? Whatever. I'm gonna worry about that after. But now all I care about is let's get Encompass matched. Let's make sure we're working apples to apples. And so if you notice here too, it doesn't really matter. When you input it into Encompass, if you want to split it out, like base OT or lump it all together. I'm going to split it out just because make it pretty for whoever's loan this is. Um, just make it a little nicer for them in case they want to come back in after. So do that overtime. Now what I'm looking for, boom, perfect, 49,116. And if we go back here, that should match exactly our front end. Beautiful. Okay, and we're actually lucky. This is the best example because I didn't have to go fix any liabilities. It turns out the only changes I had to make were based on the mortgage payment and income, and so our ratios now match. In the event our back end is still wrong, like say this is 55 or 60, and UWM has somewhere in the middle, 57.81. That's going to tell me could be a couple things. Most of the time, that's going to be a discrepancy between either what we're paying off or the payment for what we're not paying off. And so, in order to get to that information, you want to hop in, like I said, assets liabilities part three. So come to part three. I notice we do have assets in here. That's just kind of one thing that I notice. What I would suggest, if you have not already verified the assets with the lender and you're not needing them for cash to close or reserves that are required maybe based on the product, get them out of there. It does actually look like, just based off the screen here, we have verified 20K, so that's good. I'm going to update that. Um, but but best practice, what will happen is you'll hop into a file, or your leader will hop into a file, whatever, and you may have a restructure based on risk. You could get a situation where, hey, maybe you lower the term, you pay off one or two extra liabilities, you get your accept findings or approved findings, good to go. You submit that to the lender, you think everything's good, it's like perfect, and then the lender runs it without reserves, and you're getting refer. Or they run it with reserves, and you think you're good to go, but then they hit you with the condition for reserves. And so, best practice is, unless you have these verified, which these are verified, so in this case, I'm just going to update the amount and keep it moving. Unless you have assets actually already verified, I want you to remove them. That's best practice. Try to start conservative. If you get to the point sometime down the road when you're restructuring, maybe you notice like, hey, this just isn't going to work. The credit profile is too risky. AUS hates it for whatever reason. That's when you want to go in and add some reserves. Okay, sorry if I'm trying not to chew on the microphone. I just paused and got a piece of gum. Okay, back to reserves. So another thing, last thing I want to mention about that, AUS tends to like reserves in increments of mortgage payments. So in this scenario, for this guy Wilfredo, his pity is 44.29, and so if you're adding reserves in an attempt to get accept findings or approve findings, work in increments of pity months. So start with 4,500, and then bump it up to 9,000. And then if 9,000 doesn't work, try 3 months. Try 13,500, all the way up to 6 months. Is usually 6 months. If you're not getting an accept or approved findings after 6 months, probably doesn't have anything to do with the assets, unfortunately. Could be FICO dependent, could be a number of things, overall credit profile, risk, fill in the blank. But in this scenario, like I said, we're good to go. I'm going to, let's see, earnest money deposit. Is this a purchase? Fuck, I don't love that this is a purchase. Kind of picked a bad example, but whatever. I'm just gonna leave it. Doesn't matter. I am gonna update this though. I'm gonna change this to earnest money. It's not an option. Weird. Okay, well, I'm at least going to even out the assets a little bit. So I'm gonna add a savings account in there for the borrower, and I'm gonna throw another 10K in there. Oops. Okay. All right, just got about 20K in assets. We're matched on ratios. This one is restructured for front and back end. We're at 49.57 on an FHA loan. I'm probably going to pause this before restructuring and maybe do a part two, just in terms of like best practice on restructuring, where to look in Encompass and things like that. But for now, let's keep it to matching. I'm going to go through a couple more things here just to give you familiar with Encompass itself, but not get too far into restructuring. So here are your forms. Forms meaning like this is the information that gets populated on your 1003. So if you're in any of these five here, these 1003 IRLA, this is all the information that gets populated on your 1003 and then gets eventually transitions into whatever the lender portal reflects. So like if you're in your UWM portal, when you submit a loan, you see the income, personal information, liabilities that are marked as to be paid, whatever. That is all coming from the 1003 printed as a result of what we put in Encompass. And so that's where you'll find all this. The rest of this stuff, most of this is not relevant to our job duties. A lot of this is for register. Sometimes you'll find some shit like, so Reg Z will give you information specifically about the loan itself. If you ever have to flip from like fixed to an ARM, I think some of that shit's in here. Yeah, right here. There's like 3 different places that you can change. Actually, I think 3 different places you have to change from fixed to ARM or vice versa. You'll find a lot of that in here. 25 items or 2015 itemization is not for us. None of this shit's for us. Yeah, you could pretty much. We have like a processing stacking order, and it's most of this stuff right here. So pretty much anything else you can disregard. And then really the only other thing that you guys will be doing for the most part, and I won't complete the process here, but you're going to be occasionally ordering a credit report, and then pretty often you'll be running AUS. And so AUS is really easy. This little blue paper icon in the corner is how you view previous AUS runs. And so it's weird, it won't filter it by like perfectly by when you ran it last, so you'll have to filter it by date here, and that'll give you most recent day. But these sometimes are out of order, and so you kind of have to, like, if you're hunting down whatever AUS run that was submitted to the lender with, or maybe your team leader division lead hopped in a week ago, got approved findings, and the LO switched it, you want to go find the findings that they had to match, whatever the case is. Sometimes you got to narrow it down by day and then just sort of go from there. So like, say I want to pick this one, click view document, here it is, and then if you need to print it up here, save it to your desktop, whatever, that's how you would view previous runs. And then if you wanted to run, also very easy, you just click this tab to the left of the little icon, click anywhere in here, and that'll bring up both LP and DU. They're both pretty easy, but I'm going to go through both. So this is Fannie Mae Theo, a desktop originator for ePass. You just click submit. You're going to go up here, submit to DO for ePass. Click on that. Submit. All of this stuff you can 99 times out of 100, you're not going to have to mess with any of this stuff. Credit credentials should already be in there for Advantage. So you just click submit. It'll pop up. Typically, it'll come up with a little warning message here that says your case number is not like assigned to the Encompass file. That's not going to affect your findings or eligibility. So you just click through that. AUS will still run. Yeah, right here, invalid or missing agency case number. Don't care about it. Just click continue. Yes. And then I probably should have canceled this, but so that I could just get to the other one quickly. But might as well just watch it play out just so you can see kind of how it looks. Man, 15 minutes already. Sorry about that, guys. Didn't mean to go so long. And here's your run. It'll pop right up for you. Like I mentioned earlier, we are refer, so maybe my part 2 will be on fixing this one. This is a purchase though. Okay, I don't like purchases, so we'll see. Might stick this one back to Kelsey, but yeah, here's your run, and then so if you notice, it just pops you up here. These are all different tabs. The loan is the tab that is your loan. I'll show you. So here's your service view. If you need to get back to the actual loan, you just click this loan tab up here on the top, right here. So I'm going to run LP now. So LP is the same start. You just click request underwriting. Freddie Mac's LP advisor system to system. Click submit. Probably going to run into the same error message. You'll have to click submit on this first. Little pop-up window here. Okay, again, all of this stuff should stay the same. If you ever have issues with like attaching credit, or maybe you had to rerun or reissue credit, you had to get a new credit report because of a dispute, or maybe you rescored, whatever the case is, this is here where you would update that reference number, and it will pull straight from Advantage. And so, there's not much you guys have to, there shouldn't be too many times where you guys run into this, but this right here, when you see this, you want to make sure this reference number here is matching the reference number on the credit report that you want to attach to AUS. If it's not, then you just have to change it. But this one's good. I'm assuming it's good. So just click submit. Probably going to have that same little pop-up. Missing agency case number. Don't care. Submit through it. And LP is your friend, guys. LP is always your friend when it comes to high-risk profiles. LP likes shorter terms. LP likes reserves. DU likes reserves too, but LP specifically shorter terms. And anytime, so obviously 57.8, you round that up, you're going to get to 58. If this was 57.499, and I can send you guys examples just to show you, LP will round this down to 57, and if the overall credit profile risk of the borrower is positive, if it has positive factors, like maybe you have reserves, maybe your front end ratio is down, maybe your LTV is low. I think LP specifically likes lower LTVs. And so if you notice, if it's close, like maybe you're at 57.3 and you're like, fuck, I gotta get my DTI down by 0.3 at least, to get an approval. Not necessarily. Run LP, see if it likes it. A lot of times, more than you'd expect, you'll get an approval there. So, okay, looks like something I didn't mention. Sometimes LP will have, and vice versa, they'll have issues that maybe the other AUS is not calling out. And so this one, it says borrower residency basis type is missing. So most of the time, if you just highlight this and click go to field or double click this, it'll take you to the section that you need to fix. Not always. I'm going to try it. So highlight that. I double clicked it. Should take me to part 1, I would assume, to fix. Let's see, I'm kind of crashing right now. It's not letting me click anything. Okay, sorry, my computer crashed there for a second, or like Encompass, but that one specifically didn't allow me to go straight to the field, but that's okay. That's why we're doing this. We're gonna have to figure it out. And so I believe the warning was residency missing. So I would assume that's gonna be in part 1, which is where we're at. So let's see. We're looking for probably something that says primary, or let's see, what was it again? I'm actually going to run it. I kind of forgot. I paused for a second. Let me run it one more time and see what it says. Okay, yeah, it is borrower residency basis type missing. So I know that I can't click that. I'm not going to waste my time. Borrower residency basis type. Okay, so let's see here. Make sure there's only one borrower. Yes, okay. Primary housing expense, housing, former address. Check part four. Purchase. It's probably something, because this is a purchase, it might be a little bit trickier. There's primary selected there. Um, oh, you know what? Maybe former address, because this is a purchase. Maybe former address has to be marked. I'm just gonna say rent, and I'm gonna say $1,000 a month. I'm gonna see if that fixes it. No guarantees. A lot of this is trial and error. I still learn something new about Encompass every day, and so especially a lot of these warnings that pop up, like when you run a US, sometimes you're gonna have a laundry list. Sometimes it'll be 5, 10, 20. Just wait until you guys try to do this on an arm or a HELOC. It's miserable. But yeah, apparently that was it. Since this was a purchase, they just needed to like basically finalize their current occupancy, and looks like that was just rent. So when this is all we want to see. So if we're down to this, that's good. Continue. Yep. And then that's it. And then it'll run the same process as DU. It'll pop up your run. For this one, it'll be likely refer ineligible. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll probably do at least one more in Encompass for restructuring specifically. That one will have more of a focus and emphasis on like income and oh, you know what, there's one thing I didn't do, and I didn't really get into it. It was the liability. So I was about to get into like when I go to restructure and do that video. A big thing that I'll be spending time on is obviously income, and that's going to probably be, there'll be separate trainings on that in general, but as it pertains to Encompass, a lot of the stuff we do is going to be revolving liabilities. So you want to pop this VOL. This is going to be all of the borrower's liabilities imported from the credit report. So I like to expand this and then drag this thing down so that I can see all of my debts. And then here, this whole section here is basically like if you were to look at a UWM loan, let's see. This is going to give you the option to like all of this stuff here. Put in your balance, put in your payment, exclude for whatever reason. If it's a mortgage debt associated with a liability, creditor name, account number, what type of debt, all that shit is going to be in this section here on the VOL. So, like say I wanted to mess around with this Capital One debt. If I want to pay it off, boom, will be paid off. Say I'm omitting it for something, maybe there's less than 10 months, maybe it's paid by others, whatever. If that's the case and you're not paying it off, but it is being excluded from your ratios, exclude from IRLA liabilities total. This is the button you're going to want to click. And so if you'll notice, it's a Y here, N here. To be paid off, N, no. Exclude monthly payment, Y, yes. So the difference between the two, like if I want to pay off this Bank of America, like truly pay it off, it'll say yes, to be paid, no, excluding monthly payment. It is still being excluded because you're paying it, so you don't have to double click this. As a matter of fact, I think it fucks up Encompass and AUS if you do. So be careful when you're doing this. If you're paying something off, you're only paying it off. And I don't know for sure if this matters, but just there's no reason to. Just do this to be safe because it's still accurate. And then if you're omitting something, you don't want it paid off because that'll affect your cash to close. You would just exclude it from here. And so I'm just going to update these real quick. But then here, payment, you can change that. Balance, if you ever need to add a liability in, like so you're matching Encompass and you want to take into account a title lien or child support or a spousal buyout, whatever the case is, you would come up here to this little new verify button right here. This will add a new debt in. Attach it to your borrower so that it picks up on AUS correctly. Debt, let's say UWM, just make it clean. you don't really need to fill in the rest of this for the name and address of creditor. This is more for you because it's going to pop up here on this side. And so you really just got to put in the name. Don't really care about who is from. Account type does matter because installments can be automatically excluded. So you want to be careful. Like if it is an installment less than 10 payments, as some of you guys may know, some products you can exclude for less than 10 payments. Like VA, it has to not be an extraordinary expense. Like it has to not be that's sort of up to underwriter discretion if it's not a significant debt payment. FHA has to be less than 5% of their monthly payment or monthly income. Like you want to be careful with that. So, but this is where you do it. So say it's a mortgage, populates up there, balance, whatever payment, whatever, and then that's pretty much it. And then once you're good with that, exit out of here, it'll save. I'm obviously going to delete this. We don't need this $10 million mortgage. If you do need to delete it, you would highlight here, come up, click on this, and then click this little X button. The selected record is going to be deleted. Are you sure? Yep. Takes it out, and we're back to go. That's pretty much it. I think I went over assets already. This is income section. So here's on top, this is all current employment income or self-employment income. Down here is former, so previous jobs. If it's applicable, obviously a lot of people, this is secondary employment. Here is former. A lot of people have worked at the same line of work or same job for 2+ years, so that may not come into play. Most of the time it's not filled out anyway. And if you're restructuring, it doesn't really matter former employers. So most of the time you can pretty much ignore this. And then down here is where you will do non-employment. So Social Security, pension, alimony, just see the list. There's a million things you could choose from. You would pop that in here. So say, just see, this is always going to be their final total monthly income for all borrowers. So say like he, gets SSI or something. Just want to pop that in there. Gets $100 a month. You'll see down here, updates to 9117 instead of 9017. And I'm just going to delete that. But that's pretty much it. I want you guys' feedback. If this was helpful, let me know. If I need to expand on some areas or condense, I'm up to a half hour already, so I apologize if you lasted until the end. Kudos to you. Thank you for bearing with me. It's the first one of these, so it's probably a little messy. But I want your guys' feedback. If this is helpful, awesome. I'll do more of these. I think it's helpful to get like a visual with it instead of just kind of talking at you guys and saying, putting together a slideshow. Tend to notice that doesn't work always. People get distracted easily, whatever. So this is good. You guys will have this to reference, and hopefully there's more of these to come. But thank you.